Hello, the show is Conversation, and my name is Elizabeth Abai. Now, this is one place we talk about anything, and the basic thing about it is that we masticate it, we do justice to it, and very good enough, we also get you involved through your text messages and, of course, your emails. Today, we're going to be looking at something that affects you and I. Someone said once upon a time, think of what you can do for your country and not what your country can do for you. It's a simple saying, probably for some people now a cliche, but I tell you what, it tells us a whole lot about ourselves. It tells us about, how we can go about achieving things for ourselves. Because my mom will always say that if you point this way, look at it, there's a whole 4 pointing towards me. So that means if I do this for you and this 4 does for me, a whole lot is achieved. Well, I am not here talking alone. I have people seated with me, great Nigerians who are also burning with the same desire, the fire that I'm burning with. And I have the man who has been hiding behind camera for a while now. So the man.
Okay.
But I'm here now. It's good to bring you to the floor.
It's always a pleasure to participate in these conversations because issues discussed here are a lot of things has to do with the people, women generally. But today, it's
don't tell me today you're a woman.
No, I always support women. Really, I always support women. Just that you have 2 women in the studio. And then a man, no problem. At least I need a backup somewhere.
Okay, and the next woman.
Yes, my name is Deva Mom, and it's good to be here this morning. For those of you who've been following the program, you possibly didn't think today we'd be veering off into something else. And I think Elizabeth will tell us why we're talking about patriotism today and not health.
Actually, last week we promised getting you the concluding part of our health talk. We'll still be doing that next week. For some reasons, we'll be skipping it this week and look at patriotism. And she said that I will be telling you why we're looking at patriotism. I'll do that. But for now, let's take a break. When we come back, we, go full time into it. And this courtesy of Deji, the poet.
Like the glory of sunrise and the beauty of sunset, their thought radiates my mind. I call them patriots. Their identity is buried in the insensitivity of our busy streets. Their beauty transcends appearance. Their nobility wealth cannot buy. As their valor, I will sing to the top of Everest. They hide their fear behind their faith, their tears amidst the sweat to fight a cause they think is just. They swore an oath to defend the integrity of their nation, pledged their lives to keep her sovereignty alive, keep vigil to buy her peace and safety. Guardian angels, your tale may not be told by moonlight, your exploits unpublished on walls of fame, but till the day after forever, my pen will speak of your honor. Yet, I mourn in secret, for that moment may come, your finger may no longer pull the trigger, your tag laid to rest. Yet I rest assured, your valor will be printed on the pages of history. And if it takes one step for your loved ones to fall in the pit of darkness, lightning will strike and light their path.
All right. Earlier on, we started by telling you that we changed the topic for some reasons, and Devon wants me to say why I had to do that. And it stemmed from the fact that every day we move around the road. Today, particularly, I saw something that got me, quite worried. A very good Nigerian was driving, Devon. And right in the middle of the road is a taxi man. He parked, causing obstruction for a whole lot of other cars who were rushing to work, only to pick up a passenger. And even when someone, came close and said, why? He went there, your mama.
I really don't get it because, you see, unruliness, disorderliness doesn't produce anything that grows. For growth or development to happen, there must be structure. We must discipline ourselves.
Of
1%.
the population.
Barely.
Meanwhile, the crime of not being patriotic, the act of lack of patriotism, it's widespread, So a lot of times when we talk about corruption, non-patriotism acts and all that, we look at people up there. It happens every day.
Yeah.
Even in your homes, you're giving your husband bill, fellow women, of what you need to go and buy in the market. And then you're telling him you're buying fish, 200 naira. You have written fish, dry fish, another 200 naira. Smoked fish, another 200 naira. Different types of them. And then you probably write it in your native language. I don't know what they call it again. At the end of the day, the list is so long, and all you needed was just maybe 200 or 400 to buy the same thing. Something is going for 5,000. You're telling your husband it's 10,000 naira.
Yeah,
And you're doing this. Your
when it
children
comes
are
to that,
watching.
if it comes to that, right?
Your children are watching.
Men who are stingy will have that happen to them all the time.
I was coming to
Yeah,
that because
seriously.
because women have devised different means to actually get what they want.
Yeah, because if you're married to the kind of person who thinks that, oh, I gave her money for food. Let's say, for instance, you're a full-time housewife, yeah, and your husband gives you, say, 20,000 for housekeeping and everything. He has forgotten that you need to look good, you need to smell good, you need to do your hair, you need to do your nails and all this, and there's no way you're squeezing it out of that 20,000. So you come cap in hand 3 days later. Sweetheart, can I have 5,000 to go do my hair? I gave you 20,000 the other day now. 20,000 that was meant for food. Us women, we compartmentalize money. So ordinarily, if money is meant for food, women will maximize it for food. If you give a woman money for herself, chances are very high that if there's already food in the house, she will spend that on herself, and so we compartmentalize. So by the time you do that 2 or 3 times, the woman will be like, okay, this is the kind of person I married. Dried fish, 5,000. Issue, 5,000. Yam, 7,000. Meat, 8,000.
While we're doing that, the economic reality we're faced with now in this country. So please, as you're doing
No, but in all
How
honesty, we're deviating a little bit. But in all honesty, if as a man you have a wife who is not earning another source of income, maybe because you are both in agreement that that should be the case, she should be a full-time homemaker, you must remember that you want your wife to look good. You must give her something to take care of herself. It's just as bad as the man that will give the wife, take 50,000 for yourself, then you now give you money for food. So the whole money, the 50,000 he gave you for yourself, so to speak, will now go into food and everything. Then when you come and say, please dear, my phone has packed up. Hey, I gave you 50,000 last week. Meanwhile, when you gave me 50,000 last week, you did not give me even 10,000 naira to replenish stock in the house.
There is no way I will advise any home, without meaning to deviate, like you said earlier, to keep a woman at home who is not working and you don't pay her. Give her the pocket money for the house.
It's very important.
And pay her house salary. As a matter of fact, I tell you, there's nothing like housewife. It's domestic engineers.
Abi?
Domestic engineering. That's what they do. They engineer the house, and they should be paid for the chores. Otherwise, go and do it yourself. And you find out that it's difficult. But then, back to our topic for the day. I was talking about, putting the blame of non-patriotism
on only those at the top,
when
the rest of us also have our issues.
Exactly. A lot of times, we do not even understand that the small things we do are not out of patriotism. They are not the right things to do. For instance, if I am supposed to come to work at 9, and I come to work at 10:30, or I come to work at 11, I'm being very spiritual. You know how we are. We're religious people in Nigeria. I come in, I have taken 2 hours off government time.
Which is wrong.
I now need to sit there. People are queuing up, waiting for me to attend to them, probably in ministries and all that. And then I start doing my prayer. And then somebody calls, it happened to me. I went to the woman, I said, we've been waiting for you here. I need to collect this document. He said, madam, please, if you're a devil, keep it. When I come here, I have to pray. If you needed to pray, you would have come by 8:30. Finish the prayer before 9. That was the official time for government work to open.
Better still, you could have prayed at home like most normal human beings do, so that you don't bring your faith and whatever into the work premises. There's a place and time for everything.
Exactly. So, and I really don't appreciate that bit. Another one that I think, Suleiman, I'm not looking at you because you guys are corporate. Why is it that men think it's their right to pee on the road?
Do we?
Oh, yeah. You are going to, 9 out of 10 times, you're going to find that it's a man doing it, not a woman.
Well,
why is it that men think it's their right?
I think it's because it's so convenient.
No, not even that. Sometimes the reality is you are pressed and you want like a place just to ease that tension, and then the next available place you just want to do.
Quickly, I find the nearest hotel, go in there, ease myself, and because as a woman, okay, look at what I'm wearing trousers, and so you can imagine undoing this, pulling it down. I will leave my whole bottom exposed, which is that's why women are forced to go the extra mile to contain themselves, whereas men, all they need to do is just turn their back to oncoming traffic, unzip a little bit, do their business. And even if you see the person's back and maybe you see a little bit of what's going on in front, you'll never be able to tie that to the person's face going forward, except you do a real stare, and most people don't want to do that stare.
No, you don't want to do that.
So, but for women, it's so inconveniencing. Sometimes we're in a one piece. I think this is a one piece.
It's one piece, yes.
Who is helping you to undo the zip before you bring the whole thing down from here all the way down? So you understand? So women, because we don't, 9 out of 10 times, our outfits don't give us that choice.
Is it about the process that you have to go through before you have
It's not
that?
just the process.
Women are naturally,
It's the eroding of ecosystem with your acidic waste that is my concern.
Government should help us in that
Government
regard.
also should help us. We should create those things. But a lot of times, while government is doing their own, we should also do our own.
Yeah.
Respect public property. If you go to the National Stadium, for instance, there are lots of dustbin everywhere. I like to go there
And
weekends.
people just dust.
And somebody will take pure water, biscuits, plastic drinks, and dump it on the floor, very freely. Very freely. There are dustbin government provided, and it won't take you more than 20 seconds to walk up to one, assuming you're very far away. You dump it.
Is it to do with laziness?
See, it's just, it's just stupidity. I don't know what to call it. There's a dustbin right in front of you. You probably know what it's meant for. Why are you tossing pure water polythene bag here? Is it because you know there are people to sweep it up? What's the problem?
So sometimes I am tempted to conclude that some people are just naturally arrogant.
It's arrogance, it's laziness. I'm sorry, I'll still go back to being just plain stupid. You know?
Okay, now, Devan, I know you delved into politics.
Yeah.
And then sometimes people say one of the key challenge we have as a nation when we talk about patriotism is to do with politicians. Now, probably after the election, of course, you know what goes in during the electioneering process as well, the violence, the rigging and everything, which are very unpatriotic moving forward. Now, you see somebody who is elected into an office and they had to, I mean, he has to take an oath of office, either using the Bible or the Quran. Yet these same people, after they must have gone through this process, this constitutional, means, they still go back to do things that they shouldn't. Are we just...
But that's not just on politicians, though. Haven't you noticed that so many men who stand at the pulpit are actually extremely carnal in their ways? And if you really want to look at them through the lens of person to person, they really have no right to stand in front of any pulpit and talk to you. I don't know why we're that way.
Very true.
So it's not, I wouldn't put that just on politicians, but not to exonerate politicians. So I've noticed that there are pastors, there are priests who are actually really bad people. When you talk about morals, some of them go after people's wives, some of them defile youngsters, some are drunks, and so on and so forth. And then on Sunday, they'll come and stand in front of you, and they're mouthing chapters. They can recite chapters from memory, and all that. They are orators. In fact, me, I've come to the conclusion that many of them are just public speakers who have been able, no, seriously, who have been able to memorize the Bible, because I don't see Christ reflected in their actions, in the way they conduct themselves, in the things they say, the things they do. So it's not just on politicians. But specific to politicians now, remember, we all have our traditional religion before these foreign religions came. Sadly, many people are still more invested. I wouldn't even say sadly. The sadly I'm bringing into that is the hypocrisy involved. If you want to do traditional religion, do it with your chest.
Exactly.
Nobody will come. Well, Leshenka is not a Christian or a Muslim. You know, and he has not apologized to anybody, and I respect that. But many people are happy to carry the veneer of, oh, I'm a Christian or I'm a Muslim. Then at crunch time, they're running to one shrine somewhere. That's why you see the number of
shrine on Google, you know.
You have them on the internet now, but you see, whenever it's election period, the number of ritual killings skyrockets.
Sure.
And yet we're all Muslims and Christians, which, as far as I know, don't require human sacrifice for anything, because in Christianity we say that Christ already paid the ultimate price. So you don't even need to slaughter a chicken or a goat for anything. Yet, anytime elections are around the corner, the number of corpses with missing parts just goes through the roof.
Why does that happen?
I have no idea. But of recent, on Twitter, there were pictures of a certain honorable member. I don't know if it's in the National or State House of Assembly, you know, at a shrine with a chicken and doing everything and everything. But this guy does not ordinarily subscribe to traditional religion. And the person who took those pictures was trying to embarrass him, you know. Yeah, you know, he was half naked, and this is like the third or fourth time people who are aspiring to office have been either filmed or pictures taken of them doing these things. So I say, if we're really going to get sinister, depending on how high up the office is, they should cause, like state governors should be made to swear by the gods of the land.
Of the land. Oh, Amadioha. All right.
May Amadioha strike you if you don't do what you understand.
Whereby
They
if
will
you're
maintain.
guilty of a crime,
Yes.
rest assured,
In
something
Finland,
will surely happen to you.
in Finland we have something called swim. If you swear by swim and you don't, well, it just follows you. You know, like the God of the Old Testament that strikes you by thunder.
One of,
You
I
know?
think it's Oshun.
I didn't, being a Christian, I don't really subscribe to those things. But was it last year or so? One community in my local government, they got tired. Some serial killer was all over the place. So they got tired and they called people to come and swear by that thing. And they said, okay, fine. For those of you who have sworn by it, if anybody is culpable, let's see how it goes. Within a matter of weeks, this guy who had done the disaster and everything and had traveled out of Benue State came back with his own 2 legs and was caught.
Are you serious?
Twice now.
Okay. We'll take a break. We'll continue. Our program is still conversation, and the topic is patriotism. I see my colleagues. Find out if it's comfortable for her. I can still, cope with work and house chores and don't feel bad about it. If you put me in the whole house chores, I'll probably do it in 2 hours. And at the end of it, I'll be bored. So are you fair on that woman? If you're going to really take away all that, it should be discussed and it should be paid. But ask him if he's patriotic to do that. Well, your wife is a Nigerian, and anything you do against any Nigerian is unpatriotism. So, but someone asked a very salient question.
Yeah.
If it's good to lay off workers.
Well, first of all, I think we started the program by plunging in directly without really talking about what patriotism is. What is patriotism? We just assumed everybody would know what it is. For me, patriotism is love of country. Love of your nation. Now, you started with a saying ascribed to Kennedy, one famous president of America, one of them. And he is famously known to have said that, ask not what your country can do for you, but also what you can do for your country. And that's what we are saying at this point. What can you do for your country? You were not laid off out of malice. Even in all these advanced countries, the so-called developed countries, many organizations are shutting down. They're operating at 30%. They're laying people off. It's not something that's peculiar to Nigeria. So if it happened to you, and he ties it to COVID-19, if because of COVID-19 you've been laid off, it's not because your boss is trying to be wicked. It's not because Nigeria is a useless nation. This is a global situation that has taken every nation by surprise. Even some of our so-called men of God who see, nobody saw that 2020 will be the disaster it has turned out to be so far.
Very true, Devan. And then talking about COVID-19 vis-a-vis patriotism in Nigeria. Now, you just situate patriotism to mean love for one's country. Now, a lot of times at tax force, where people are being encouraged to engage these non-pharmaceutical injunctions to, go about their normal activities, avoid crowd, use of face masks. Now, how many people are violating that in Nigeria? For me, it's unpatriotic.
It's unpatriotic.
True.
You understand? And then this is the right time for us to show Nigeria love, because whatever you think you're experiencing in Nigeria, a lot of people are even experiencing worse now. Our cases have not reached, its peak yet, the number of deaths recorded so far, we cannot compare ourselves with other nations who are
Like
suffering from
US,
this
that's-
There are
pandemic.
people that are recording 1,000 a day death, not
Yeah,
cases.
death.
And for 4 months, 5 months, we've not even reached that 1,000. None is good, quite all right. Everybody's life. If I lose one person, it's for me, the whole Nigeria. You know, I feel the empathy. But then we have a whole lot to be grateful to God for, and insist on obedience. Obedience is a climax for me for patriotism. When government says, please, don't litter the roads, don't build on the roads, and you're building it because you have money to influence certain powers,
It's
you know,
wrong.
at the end, the government says, don't manufacture bad drugs, don't bring in